Sage Wonder here, coming at you from my van down by the river. So it's Saturday. If you can't tell, I'm having a little fun. I'm just chilling. And so I thought I would start a new series called Storytime with Uncle Sage. So I got a lot of crazy stories, all those years in the music business, those years as a preacher. You know, I was a youth pastor for a while, and that's a total trip, you know, hanging out with kids. They don't know if they make you younger or age you prematurely. Look at my old face and you tell me. But, yeah, so I'm full of all these great stories. And so I would kind of like to talk about something that maybe a lot of you have tried to do, which is this DNA testing, you know, where you swab your cheek. And, you know, somebody told me, hey, you know, they're trying to get your DNA. They're going to use it against you. It's the government. They're trying to track you. I'm too old for that crap. It'll be gone before before they can get it all together. I'll be gone. You know, I'm too old. But, so I wasn't worried about it. And I was always curious. And here's why. So, like, I'm totally light-skinned. And my mother is totally light-skinned. But my dad is a brown man. My dad's a person of color. And so, you know, there was always this kind of weirdness because I don't, you know, when I aged, you could see I look like him. I remember seeing some of the first video footage when I was getting close to that late 30s time, you know, and I was starting to show some wrinkles. And I don't often play guitar, but in this particular video I was playing guitar on stage, lit up, you know, big stage. And anyway, so, excuse me while I puff. Alright, it's a cigarette. I just don't know how cool that is. It's uncool. But anyway, and I saw that video and I'm like, wow, I do look like him. But I spent a lot of my life dealing with people, even my own siblings, telling me, oh, we're daddy's kids, and, you know, we are, but you're not. You're some white guy's kids. You're the milkman's kid. Mean sisters. That's why you trolls can't hurt me, because my sisters were so damn mean to me. But anyway, yeah, so I always questioned it, you know. My dad always had this question mark about me, whether I was his kid or not. And it's sad because my mom really is such a virtuous woman. Like, she's the last person you would think who would ever fool around. And, you know, they'd been married some time by the time I come along, and I got a couple older sisters. And, anyway, so, yeah, that's always the story he would sometimes tell is that on the day that I was born, and I had to recut this video because in the video I started telling my dad's actual name. I can't do that. So, unfortunately. But at any rate, back in the day, you know, when people were had babies, the husbands would be waiting, the fathers would be waiting in the waiting room. They didn't go in there and, you know, none of that stuff was going on. You know, the women, they knocked them out, they took the babies out of them, and they, you know, brought the husbands in there afterwards. So anyway, he comes out to the waiting room and he starts trying to find my old man. And so he goes up to the first white guy with red hair and he goes, Mr. So-and-so, I won't say our names. And the guy's like, no. He goes to the next guy, are you him, Mr. So-and-so? No. Goes to the next white guy. He goes through 4 guys, and the only person left in the room is my dad, who's so brown, you know. And so they're like, okay. And my dad's like, you know, I'm Mr. So-and-so. And this doctor, he's just beside himself. Like, he just can't figure out how this red-headed baby belongs to this, you know, looks like a Mexican man. But at any rate, yeah, we were Native American. And so I lived as a Native American. This is why I catch fish better than other people, because I don't fish the white man way. I have, like, I claim to be able to smell fish. You know, I can go by a river I've never been to before and pull fish out of there faster than people. People have been there all day. They come up there every week. They can't catch fish, and I just pull them right out. I mean, yeah, people hate me when it comes to fishing. And, you know, part of my dad's shoring up his career as a preacher was he was known as a Native American fishing guide to all the other preachers. One of the reasons I'm as articulate, I think, as I am, is that I grew up with these big-brained people who were these high-level preachers and political ministers who were, PhDs and stuff like that, authors, And I grew up fishing with them. Because if you came fishing with brother so-and-so, I won't say our names, then, I'm going to have to watch this and make sure I didn't, then you can, he's going to put you on the fish. So, at any rate, I grew up going to powwows. I grew up in the culture. My grandmother, she was just obviously nearly full-blooded Native American. And as far as any of us knew, we were all Native Americans. I just happened to be the first generation of white ones, white Indians. And even my sisters are brown, And I just took after Mom. So, anyway, after my dad passed away, I finally decided to do one of these DNA kits. So I did the spit. I had to spit in the little tube, and I had to send it out and wait and wait and wait. And sooner or later it comes back. No Native American blood, right? So I have a meltdown for about 4 days. I'm like, I knew it. My mom is just beside herself. She's like, son, he's your dad. He's your dad. I don't care what that stupid thing says. He's your dad. And I'm like, I knew it all along, man. People used to tease us when we were out together. He would introduce me as his son, and people would laugh under their breath and go, okay. Some ballsy guys would even look at us and go, I wonder what the milkman looks like. They were assholes. Sorry for the language. But anyway, so I thought, that's it, He's not, the old man wasn't my old man, Bless his heart, he took care of me, he did the right thing. He even knew it, Because when he got old and sick one time and mean, he told me, yeah, you're no son of mine, blah, 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 blah. He was just mad about something. I always knew you were no son of mine. It kind of sucks. It's a sucky story, but it's funny at the same time. It's just, modern living. But at any rate, so I sit on that for a few days, and I'm like, man, I'm coping with it. And then I'm watching there's more to this website than just getting your DNA pie sliced and all that in your background. They also connect you to people that are related to you. And they started connecting me to my dad's family. This is your cousin, this is your uncle, this is, this guy's your second cousin. And I knew all these people because they're my dad's family. So I ended up talking to one of my uncles on my old man's side of the family. And he's like, yeah, no, we had this done a few years back, and none of us were not Native Americans. He says, there's a little bit of Middle Eastern blood in there, and, and there's a little bit of Mediterranean blood in there, and there's some subcontinent Indian blood, from India, dot, not feather, in there, And he said, but we're not Native American. But my dad was my dad. I wish that I had had that done years ago while he was still alive, so that he could look me in the eye and just really know, hey, you are my kid for sure. I don't care what you look like. So there's story time with Uncle Sage, how I lived my life as a fake Indian. It's hard for me to let go of the Native American heritage that I thought that we all had, because we lived that way. And our family history goes back to Oklahoma. We have all of the oral tradition of how our people came from North Carolina, came ahead of the Forest Trail of Tears. Like, we were smarter. We owned land. We were tobacco farmers in, I believe, North Carolina. And, they came and said, you Indians got to go to Oklahoma. And they actually sent a letter, and our people were literate and could read. And a lot of the other ones didn't. That's why they were surprised by the soldiers when they came and told them, hey, now you got to leave for sure, because they couldn't read any of the letters they tried to send to them. But our people got the news ahead of time. We saw it coming. We legally sold all of our property, all of our equipment, all of our goods, and we booked passage on a ship that took us. How does the story go? Somehow it took us over into the Gulf of Mexico. So I guess it would have been around Florida and up into the Gulf of Mexico. And we went from, we bought, I'm getting long-winded here. We bought wagons, and we went up there, and we were the first people to have to deal with the real Indians that were occupying Oklahoma. With all this story, this whole thing is just, it's passed down. I cannot believe that we aren't Indians. My significant other, who's known me my whole life, says, look, I just don't believe it. I knew your parents. I knew your grandmother. These people were Native Americans. So, You just never can tell. All right, enough story time with Uncle Sage.